As I film this, I am 8 months into my 65th year and about 3 months into my career as an author. Now, you may think 65 is a bit old to be starting up as an author. I think so myself sometimes, but it depends, doesn't it? Frank McCourt published his first book, Angela's Ashes, when he was 66. Mary Wesley, who was 57 when her first children's book came out, published her first adult novel, Jumping the Queue, when she was 71. And Christopher Bland was 76 when his first novel, Ashes in the Wind, saw print. So why not me? It also depends on how many years I have left to me. And yes, on the sharpness of my brain and the brilliance of my creativity in that time. We all of us know our ultimate futures. We all of us know we will die. Cheating death happens in fantasies, not in real life. But how long do I have, realistically? Well, discounting the happenstance of a car crash or the next plague or the end of civilization as we know it, and looking at my family history, I can identify 3 possible milestones. Perhaps I should call them timestones. The first timestone is 8 years from now. This is my father at 40, Dudley Nixon. He hated his first name. He preferred to be called Nick. I resemble him physically. I have the same build, similar constitution. The first time I saw myself in a video film walking away from the camera, I thought I was my father. I walk in the same way he did. When he died, I looked at his last pair of shoes. The heels were worn down in exactly the same way my own heels wear down. Dad was 73 when he died of pancreatic cancer, but he was a lifelong smoker and probably what is now called a high-functioning alcoholic. He would have said he could hold his liquor and be proud of it. His cancer was certainly caused by his lifestyle, but whatever his lifestyle did to him physically, it made no difference to his mental state. He was as clear in his head and as sharp at his end as he was all his life. Now, I don't smoke. I can count the number of cigarettes I have ever smoked in my life on the fingers of 2 hands. I drink, but I don't drink like he did. I reckon I ought to last easily till I'm 73 and stay productive. That's an 8-year career right there. Time enough to write a few books, a few poems. After all, John Keats only had a 6-year career, admittedly between the ages of 19 and 25. To go to a further extreme, Anna Sewell had a career of exactly 1 year. She published her only novel, the children's classic Black Beauty, in 1877, and she died the following year, aged 58. My second time stone is 10 years further off. This is my grandfather, my father's father, Harry Nixon. Dada, my father called him. Harry is one of the men who built Brighton, according to at least one local history website. He started out as a carpenter, and I believe he was a sapper, a military construction engineer on the Western Front during the First World War. Between the wars, he had a building firm and built some very fancy houses. He lost all his money when the bottom fell out of the Brighton housing market during the Second World War. Harry lived to be 83, and I met him. This is me looking at him a bit apprehensively. Am I wondering, is this how I'll turn out? As far as I know, Harry was sound in mind, if not body, to the very end. He was born in the Victorian era, and men of his generation could look forward to a lifespan of about 50 years on average. He did very well, hanging on as long as he did. Given a lifetime of decent food and modern medicine, though, I think I'm in with a good chance of matching his age. So that would be an 18-year career. There are big-name authors who only got 18 productive years, even if they started much younger than I'm starting now. D.H. Lawrence, for one, who first published at 25 and died aged 44. For another, George Orwell, who published his first novel in 1933 and died in 1950, only months after the publication of his seminal work, 1984. Okay, Orwell started to try to be an author in 1927, so you might say his career was 22 years? How about Jack London? He started writing in 1898 and died in 1916. That's 18 years. But I've got a third time stone. My mother's father, Charlie B., also known as Carlo, also known as Charles Bradshaw Warwick. This is him in his late 20s, a radical and a rebel, or so he liked to believe. He once stood up to address a political meeting at the Manchester Free Trade Hall in the 1920s and, to my grandmother's huge embarrassment, introduced himself with the words, "I am a communist." Charlie B. lived into his mid-90s. I'm not sure exactly when he shuffled off this mortal coil, but let's say he was 95. Also, not senile, as far as I'm aware. If I could equal his age, that would give me 30 working years to look forward to. 30 years is a lifetime, for goodness sake. Philip K. Dick died at 53 after a publishing career of 26 years, matching Marcel Proust, whose career also spanned 26 years. 30 years was also time enough for J.K. Rowling to publish at least 19 novels, and not only novels, and to be sure, she is still going strong. Talking about my timestones, I have been carefully looking only at my forefathers. I know that women who survive through childbirthing and menopause have better chances of longer lives. As a cis man, I know I shouldn't lean too much on my female relatives' longevity, but I can't help squinting with a bit of admiration and envy at my mother. This March, 2024, on the 15th, she celebrated her 102nd birthday. No, that's not a time stone I anticipate reaching, but if 37 years and counting. So is 65 a bit too old to start a writing career? What do you think?